Hello and welcome to Jewish Charlotte Mason. This is an episode today that is going to save me some time because I've been getting the same question over and over, and now I'm going to be able to just send people the video. Here's the question that I get. Do you have recommendations for children's Jewish books, either from Christians or from Jews who are looking for good quality books? There's a lot of junk out there. Charlotte Mason, the definition of a living book, is sort of amorphous. It's a hard thing to pin down, but it's basically something that has a moral and it has a storyline that is meaningful and that it sticks with you, and it's not just junk food. It's a real steak dinner in book form. So I get this question a lot. What books do you recommend? And I wanted to tell you some of my favorite writers that you can't go wrong with. And they write lots of different books about holidays and about morality, and I love them. They're great. So the first writer that I wanted to tell you about is Barbara Goldin. So Barbara has a lot of books about different holidays, and so I'm just going to run through a couple of them with you. In the show notes, I'm not going to link to individual books because it's just going to be too much. I will link to individual author pages on Amazon, except for there's like a couple books that I will actually link. So this is one book about Passover. It won the National Jewish Book Award by the Jewish Book Council. And it's beautiful illustrations, and it's called The Magician's Visit. So that's one. Just Enough is Plenty, a Hanukkah tale. I got all of these used, by the way. And this is another award-winning book by the same National Jewish Book Award by the Jewish Book Council. And this is about Hanukkah. Cute illustrations. This is another Hanukkah book, The Best Hanukkah Ever. Cute story. Night Lights, another Hanukkah book. There's lots of Hanukkah books. It's because, even though Hanukkah is actually not a huge deal, because of its proximity to, it looks like a sukkah. This is actually about sukkahs. Sorry. This is what Christians call a feast. The holiday of the tabernacles, I think is what Christians call it. This is an anthology, Creating Angels, and it's stories of tzedakah. Tzedakah means charity. So they're all stories about charity. This one doesn't have illustrations, but the stories are pretty short. While the Candles Burned, 8 Stories for Hanukkah. Not a ton of illustrations, but there are illustrations. Cakes and Miracles, a Purim tale. I think this might have been a PJ Library book. So PJ Library, I'll actually link to that as well. You don't necessarily get living books through PJ Library, but if you're Jewish and you're a Jewish family, you can get free books from Jewish Federation. So I'll link that also in the show notes. But I think this was a PJ Library book. But this is a book about Purim, Cakes and Miracles. And this is 10 holiday Jewish children's stories. This is a book that I'm giving away actually on my YouTube channel, or my Instagram, I guess, and I'll link that as well. But I am doing a giveaway in the month of July on my Instagram, trying to promote my Instagram and my YouTube. So that's Barbara Goldin, Goldin. Can't go wrong with Barbara Goldin. The next author that I wanted to highlight is named Penina Schramm. She has written, I think, my favorite anthology of Jewish short stories called Jewish Stories One Generation Tells Another. We've been making our way through it. We talk about the stories all the time. They're really impactful and beautiful. She wrote another anthology called Chosen Tales, which we haven't delved into yet, but we're excited to do so. There's a little bit of, there's no illustrations in this one. I thought there were. But this is from Jewish Storytellers. This is another 8 Tales for 8 Nights, another anthology that you can read over Hanukkah. Not really illustrated, but a little bit, not a ton. This is a similar book to the last one that it's the same printer, and it's 10 classic Jewish children's stories. So it's a similar book. Illustrations are gorgeous. I really like this one. The next one is The Big Sukkah. Cute illustrations. I get a lot of these on Better World Books, by the way. And then The Hungry Clothes and Other Jewish Folk Tales. And so this publisher does folk tales from around the world, and we like the Native American ones, and it has the same cover, but this one is Jewish ones. The Hungry Clothes. So the next author I wanted to, so this is Penina Shram, Schram, Shram. The next author I wanted to highlight is my favorite children's book writer, named Isaac Bashevis Singer. He writes children's books and he writes adult books. And I guess this was a theme, the power of light, 8 stories for Hanukkah. So like for years you have stories to read every Hanukkah. Not illustrated that much, but there are a couple of pretty ones. One of my favorite anthologies, maybe even better than the Shram one, honestly, Stories for Children, is fantastic. I love it. This is a cute story that we also got on PJ Library, The Parakeet Named Dreidel. And we destroyed it and then I had to rebuy it, so hence why it doesn't look like it's a PJ Library book, but we got it from PJ Library. But it's a really cute story. We like it a lot. You can see the beautiful illustrations there. And then there's a couple more. A Day of Pleasure and Other Stories for Children by Isaac Bashevis Singer. This is quite old. And you can see the stories are about 10 pages in length. And then there's a couple of photographs. There's not many of them, but you know, not really illustrated, but it's powerful because they're actual photographs, which you don't often see in children's books. Another one is Zletef the Goat and Other Stories, and this is another anthology. It's not really illustrated. There's like a couple of illustrations. They're not particularly charming, but they're powerful stories. This is another one I got at Better World Books. And the last one from Isaac Bashevis Singer is Naphtali the Storyteller and His Horse Sus, which is another anthology that has pretty simple illustrations, but I love everything by Isaac Bashevis Singer. I think he's fantastic, and he worked a lot with another popular, back then I guess, children's, there's like a linkage that I'm not sure about the history and I probably should have looked it up, but y'all can do that in your spare time. He had a relationship with Uri Shulevitz, who illustrated books and wrote books, and they aren't necessarily all Jewish, but a lot of them have a Jewish theme. So this is a beautifully illustrated book that won a Call Dot Honor Award, called The Treasure. And this one is not necessarily Jewish, but I mean, I think you can tell that they're Jews. The illustrations are beautiful, and it's a short story. It looks much longer than it is. So that's one book by Uri Shulevitz. This book is another book that I'm giving away on my Instagram, so check that out. It's in the links. Daughters of Fire, Heroines of the Bible. And it's it highlights different women in the Bible. Rebecca, Leah, Eve, just sort of tells their stories, which is cool. Another couple, Hanukkah Money, and this is illustrated by Uri Shulevitz, and it's written by Shalom Aleichem. I'll get to him next. They had a linkage as well, the three of them. I don't know what their relationship was, but they were tight, it seems. One Monday Morning is another one by Uri Shulevitz. Illustrations are cute. And it looks, again, much longer than it is because the illustrations are so large. Another one, this is not necessarily Jewish, So Sleepy Story. And again, like the illustrations are so large, but really just stunning. But this is a good book for like a 3-year-old, I would say. So that's that one. And then the last one I got from Better World Books, and so it doesn't have a cover and it's quite old, is The Fool of the World and His Flying Ship, a Russian tale. And the pictures are from Uri Shulevitz. And so like, it says Russian, but like, let's be real here. So this one is good for like, honestly, maybe a 10-year-old, because it is pretty long. And the illustrations are large, but the book is also quite long. So yeah, so Uri Shulevitz is another, can't go wrong. And he had a relationship with Shalom Aleichem. So I have 2 books here that are anthologies by Shalom Aleichem, The Old Country and Jewish Children. The stories on which Fiddler on the Roof is based is The Old Country. Neither of these are illustrated, and they're very old, and I got them from Better World Books. This is, this Jewish Children was translated from the Yiddish, and this was printed in 1937. It's interesting history too. And so there's a lot of stories in here about Passover and Shavuos, and if you're looking for holiday stories, this is an interesting path. And so the last sort of honorable mention I wanted to make was 2 books by, I think his name is Nathan. Yeah, Nathan Ausubel. They're very similar. One is a Treasury of Jewish Folklore, and another is a Treasury of Jewish Poetry. The poetry, I haven't delved into the folklore enough, but the poetry is stunning. One of the things I really love is that they parse it out by kind of topic. And it's not, all these poems are not by Nathan Ausubel. So they're from Song of Songs. Hendrik Heine is a popular one. The Dead Sea Scrolls are in here. Judah Halevi is in here. So it's all Jewish poetry, but it branches out, hope and faith, love between a man and a woman, love between brothers, love between family and friends, bitterness and despair, love the Jew and his people, love for Jerusalem and for Israel, sorrow, a lot of sorrow because we're Jewish after all. Lamentations, and then Jew in the World is part 2. And there's a whole section here for the love of nature. And then obviously the love of God, love of prayer, Messiah and redemption, Shabbat, the Sabbath. And then there's another section about the mind of the Jew. Pursuit of wisdom, death and immortality, irony and satire in a lighter vein, and wine songs. So they're broken down sort of along those lines, and they're just stunning. And I really, I've been looking for Jewish poetry for a long time, and this is it for that. So that's basically it. I am going to link to the authors and some of these books in the show notes. And please subscribe. Please keep on watching my videos. I'm doing a series of Homeschool 101 videos this summer. And this is sort of a branch off of that project because we follow the Charlotte Mason method, obviously Jewish Charlotte Mason. And the whole backbone of the curriculum is living books. And so I wanted to highlight some of my favorite Jewish living books. Thank you so much for watching. And I look forward to chatting with you guys again soon about all the fun stuff of Jewish homeschooling.